Hi, my name is Cecile Johnson. I'm the CEO of African Development Plan, and I'm here today as part of Global City Unity's community outreach to keep you informed about issues that are affecting the Black community and the global Black community, and that requires to be unified on one accord so we can find solutions. Today's show is part 2 of 2, called The Crisis in American Education. It will be, we want to welcome back Mr. Ron Barker, master teacher, and he had done a show where he had told us that he had done a comprehensive analysis on American educational systems, and he had concluded that American children hate school. Hate is a very strong word, but that's the word he used. And he said for good reason. So, and if things don't change, he said, drastically, American students will never be able to compete with the world's top educational systems like China, South Korea, and Finland. So today is part 2 of that series, and we want to welcome Mr. Barker back to our show.
Thank you.
Thank you. In part 1, Mr. Barker went over what his comprehensive analysis of the school system was. He explained that he found 2 gaps. One was between Black and white, and the other was between Americans versus others globally. He explained how businesses are not happy. They are not happy with the outcomes that our college students who need critical thinking skills to compete in global market, and he talked about those 3 areas: how they don't know how to work in groups, how they don't know how to think critically, how they don't know how to communicate well, right?
And ask questions.
And they don't know how to ask questions.
The right questions.
The right questions. Again, they lack critical thinking skills. So we think sometimes American universities are all of that. This is what businesses are saying, okay? So today's show, he also spoke about his analysis of the hands-on reading chain links, and he had dropped some fascinating data on how the different stages from cribs to career with the children were, and what they learned in different stages. And
yes.
He talked about 0 to 1 when they're in the lap, 0 to 2 when they're in the lap and you're reading to them, and how that was the most effective way of teaching them because they were hearing you, they were seeing you, and you were pointing out the words, and how between 3 and 5, that dropped off, and you know, then we drop them in 1st grade and we get in the book and say, hey, read, and we don't figure out, well, they didn't learn anything between 3 and 5, but now we want them to pick up at there. So then he explained how that would tie into what happened at the 3rd and 4th grade when we were doing these standardized testings, and now we are testing them on things that we did not really give them the foundation on, and how important it is because every grade level builds on the other. So if the child is coming in way behind from kindergarten and 1st grade, and we never try to resolve that issue, then we can see now why we had these 8th grade achievement levels
yes.
of only 20% and all of that. So today, Mr. Barker, we want to go over, we have kind of summarized what you said before.
Yes.
And we want to focus on the high school dropout rates because I'm very concerned.
Yeah.
In the city of Chicago, we have a very wide gap between Black and white education in the state of Illinois. And in the city of Chicago, 79% of the 8th graders are not reading grade level proficient in reading. 80% are not grade level proficient in math. Yet we still push them up into high school.
Yes.
You told us that high school requires a lot of reading comprehension, and I see them big books the kids are coming home with.
With different teachers.
Exactly. So now 79% aren't ready.
Yeah.
Right? So we send them to high school for what purpose, right? And then we look here in the state of Illinois that 3 in 10 children attend a state-funded preschool, right? So we look at the poverty levels, we look at 11% of the children who graduate from high school are actually college ready,
yes.
right? Which means that they will be ready for trades also, because most of the trades require you to read these manuals and
yes.
study these tests and pass them,
yes.
right? So it's not just about going to college, it's about being able to comprehend, to learn a trade, to learn a skill, to be an entrepreneur, right? And if you can't read and write and comprehend, you can't manage, you can't handle.
Right.
So let's pick up where we left off.
Okay.
Tell people a little bit about yourself, but then also let's talk about what can be done to help stop high school dropout rates.
Well, I've been a teacher for 30 years, since 1985, and, but what I do that's different from most teachers is that I write curriculum, you know, and so based on what my students need. And so if a student needs something, a game or something in fractions, say, I come up with a game or a song or a puzzle, find out more about the kid in order to really show him that you can do this.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the whole difference. And so when I read Tony Wagner's book, Global Achievement Gap, that really got me saying that, you know what, because I've always been good at math, that if I had time to study this, I can study and find out, because it looked like it was a systematic problem in our public education system. I found that 3 to 5 year olds. And so I began to write curriculum in order to really solve that. And so getting back to the high schools is that what's happening now is that they're saying, the University of Chicago did a consortium on the question of what can be done to stop this massive dropout rates. And so they came up with saying that the children need adult mentoring for incoming freshmen in high school.
Adult mentoring.
Yes.
Okay.
And that's so they can, first of all, have somebody they have to be accountable to.
Okay.
And they would have to show them how to organize all those work from different subjects, from different teachers. See, that's the difference between grammar school and high school, is that you have 4 or 5 different teachers giving you all this homework that they don't know the other one gave homework. So it's like, how do I handle 4 hours worth of homework?
Right.
So the adult mentors would help them with that. But see, that's reactive and not proactive. But it has worked, because it was working so well that the colleges say, what we're going to do is expand dual enrollment for the juniors and seniors in high school. So they enrolled in high school and they actually enrolled in college also, to make a smoother transition.
Okay.
But again, all this is reactionary. It's not proactive. Proactive is that we already know that the achievement gaps were already there before they got into kindergarten. And so everything that we do after that is reactionary.
Okay. So achievement gaps are at kindergarten level.
Yes.
They're responding with adult mentoring,
Yes.
right, which is really an accountability check,
Yes.
but not addressing the fact that they're
They
not
already-
reading on level.
That's right, they're already
right? They're
behind.
not writing on level. They're
That's
not doing
right.
math on level.
That's right.
So all of this is nice.
And they're frustrated.
Exactly.
They're on the fence. They're ready to drop out at any kind of challenge.
So I hope some CPS educators, including the superintendent, is listening, right? That because this has been bugging me myself. When I look at the 9th graders, when I
Yes.
talk to people in schools and they've been telling me that they're coming in with 4th and 5th grade level
Yes,
reading,
yes.
right? And I'm looking at these books, and I've read some of these books, right? And I'm seeing that the children just don't get it,
Yes.
right? And so now you're talking about mentoring. They're always big on that, right? Always
Yes.
big on mentoring,
Yes.
right? But how many years we're going to do this and see that it don't work,
Right.
right? So in Illinois, the graduation rates are 86% for all students. For Asians, it's 94%. White, 90%. Hispanic, 81%. And black, 77%.
Yeah.
But only 11% of all these CPS students are actually college ready,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I'm not impressed with these high school graduation rates, because if they can graduate from high school and can't go on to college
do
and do
anything
anything
with
with
it.
it,
Right.
then that paper is something we can take and do
Yeah.
what with?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna be polite here on the show.
Yes.
So, but this is crazy.
Yes.
Okay. So tell me about what are the top educational countries doing, right? And why is it that we are an advanced industrial nation, right? And we can't get it up to now?
Well, Finland is the #1 educational system in the world, as far as the PISA test, which is a test that 15-year-olds take all around the world in order to see who's doing what. And the test that they give is based on reading comprehension, science, and math. And what Finland has done is, see, it's two. Well, let me break this down. Teaching is an art and a science.
Okay.
And so the science of it is that you can go to college, get into the educational department, take tests, learn about theory, learn about concepts and principles, take subject matter tests, get a certification that says that you are a certified teacher, but you have never taught anyone. Most of these curriculum in the schools and in the colleges, they call for 8 to 10 weeks of actual teaching in front of students.
Internship?
Yeah, internship.
8 to 12?
Yeah. Well, it's 6, 8, 12. 6 to 12 is the norm. In between that, 6 to 12. But that's in the 4-year period.
Wow.
So in 4 years, you have taught actually 6 to 12 weeks at the most in front of students. And the teacher that's teaching you is in the room. So you have never had
to control that yourself.
Control that situation until you actually graduated from college and landed a job and went in front of the kids and really found out that the kids are not sitting there with their hands folded saying, Ms. Johnson, would you please teach me?
I know. I had this experience.
That's right.
I had this experience when I went into school doing
That's
some
right.
substitute teaching. Oh, wow. Some
That's
of them
right.
were wonderful, but some, wow. You know, so yeah, I wish I had some substitute teaching training.
Yeah. Well, and the whole thing of it is it's like, it's 3 levels of superior teaching.
Okay.
The first level is all about the teacher's perspective. So just say the teacher graduated from college, went for 2 years, the average teacher end up getting out of teaching if they don't have any kind of help after 3 years. But they go there for 2 years and then they can't get the kids' attention.
Right.
They have all these theories and all these wonderful best practices, but they can't get the kids to be quiet and listen to them. So usually the 3rd year is like, it's a do or die, saying,
Right.
okay, who am I as a person, as a teacher? And they say, well, I love pets. Specifically, I love kittens. I love cats. I know all about cats. So what the teacher does, she brings in a kitten or a couple of kittens into a classroom, and then voila, the kids have their hands folded, want to listen because they love kittens and animals too.
Right.
And so just by the teacher giving of themselves, that's the art of teaching. The art of teaching is all about building relationships, building trust, and building a connection with the kids. Because if the kids don't see how what you're teaching them is useful to them, they don't want to hear it.
So do you think that when you look at the public school system and the fact that we have a 91% non-white public school system,
Yeah.
and you have maybe like a 40-something, like 50% white teachers, right? So we have a culture gap there, right?
Yes.
Then there's a poverty gap because even
Yes.
within a culture you have different economic levels,
Yes.
and that creates other problems.
Yes.
Do you think then that that also adds to this?
I mean, it definitely could, but if a teacher knows what they're doing and makes learning fun, fun is universal. So, I mean, that's the whole thing is that, like you said, you need training.
So give us some examples of what you would do. And you come into a classroom, they're totally wild, right?
Right.
And then how would you engage the children?
Well, I've taught, I was a substitute teacher for a year and a half, and that's really the best training you can do. It's like you go into a classroom and see the whole thing is kids are smart. They know what's going on. And so when a substitute comes into a room, first of all, you don't know their names. They know you don't know their names.
Right.
And so you come in there and they say, I can do this, and they feel like they can do anything. You know, when a teacher is absent, it's like it's a free-for-all.
Right.
That's why you, as a substitute, have got to come in full force on what you're doing, what I call my bag of tricks.
So tell about your bag of tricks.
My bag of tricks, well, I might come in with Jimmy the Chimp.
All right, kids, sit down, just sit down.
They laughing and all of a sudden they sitting down.
Okay. What's your teacher's name? Miss Johnson? Okay, she's not here today, and I'm going to report everything that you do.
They laughing.
Oh, I say that
Okay,
too.
okay, and okay.
I look at the lesson plan. Okay, it's timetables. Okay,
All right. Who know the 12s? The 12 timetables.
they raise their hand, and so we go through, and just making it fun, just making it fun, just making it fun, and so that's the whole thing is that I've taken over the situation versus coming in trying to find out what the teacher's trying to do, and as I'm looking down, somebody throwing a pencil and spitballs and this and that, and chaos going on. It's like, what the heck is going on?
Yeah.
And so you have got to be able to have your bag of tricks. you know, and I brought my piano here, and well, even without the piano, it's like, how many kids love rap? Oh, they raise their hand. Because what they're doing is that the best thing that a teacher can do is to show that a child has everything they need inside of themselves to be successful.
Right.
But to do that, you've got to be able to write curriculum. And so Finland, who is the #1 educational system in the world, is going to change their whole educational system in 2016-2017 school year to that. Finland has 30% of their teaching force special education. They want to make it 100%.
Wow.
Not just like special education, because special education, that's what you do.
That can be gifted as well as people who are behind, learning disabled.
In Finland, it's no gifted. It's no special. Everybody's special. Because you could be great at reading comprehension, but for some reason you can't get decimals.
Right.
And so they meet every week and say, you know, Cecile Johnson has a problem with decimals. They pull you out and go to the teacher who is the specialist in decimals. You don't even know anything about it. You just, it's like you don't know, or you're not in trouble or anything. You just go and you have fun. She made this game about decimals. You come back in and voila, no problem with decimals anymore.
So is it more expensive to do this?
I don't know the numbers as far as how expensive it is, but what Finland has done is that every child from preschool to graduate school has a master's degree. Preschool to graduate school, master's degree. But the first thing is that, you know, when our kids are trying to connect the dots, like you say, as far as reading comprehension, Finland let the kids play. That's the second level of art of teaching.
Right.
Is that all kids love to play. You want 100% engagement, let the kids play.
Let play, yeah.
And so they only take the top 20% of the graduating class to be teachers. It's harder to become a teacher in Finland than it is to be a surgeon.
Now that is fascinating, because what I found in Florida was that people who couldn't cut it ended up teaching.
Yeah,
So the dum-dums in the classroom, the children,
well,
right?
I mean, and that's what you get.
Yeah.
And so, but the reason why they want the top 20% is because they want you to be able to write curriculum now.
Okay.
And so,
that makes sense.
but what they do is like 3-year-old, 4-year-old, 5-year-old, 6-year-old, from birth to 6 years old, all the kids do is play. What that is doing is that they love the learning process. They love learning. And so all of them have master's degrees, and all of them they learn to analyze play. So the kid who takes their blocks, just say block play, the kids playing with blocks, all the kids playing with blocks, the kid who gets the blocks and goes in the corner by himself and start playing, he's going to be a researcher. He's going to be a scientist. The kid who's playing with the blocks and separating them all into different colors, she's going to be a fashion designer or artist or interior decorator, something that has to do with colors. And so the total opposite of what we do. They analyze play while we control our kids' emotions, basically.
Right. We make them into people who need the drugs that they didn't put them on, the ADDH, DHD,
Right.
all the alphabets, but it's really foolishness, right?
Well, the whole thing is that when the number one thing the number one skill you need to have in preschool is crisscross applesauce, to sit there
And
a
be
long
still.
periods of time being quiet. And if you can't do that, you end up getting kicked out of preschool.
Right, because you've had children expelled from preschool,
yes,
right?
Yes.
Which is pure foolishness again.
But what they're saying is that, what the kids are really saying is that we want something to do.
Right.
When I was sitting in my mother's lap at 1 and 2 years old, I could turn the pages. I could help her turn the pages. I could point to the pictures. Now all of a sudden, the teacher's the only one that has a book, and you want me to sit there as a non-participant. And the number one thing that I have to do as far as being successful in school and in life, reading with comprehension. If we get that together, and the fascinating thing is that if we get the 3 to 5 year, the chain link I was talking about, is that all the other chain links connect.
Right.
But the 3 to 5 year old, the 2-year-old going into the 3-year-old is a disconnect, and the 5-year-old going into the first grade is a disconnect. And so they never recover from that. That's why in Tony Wagner's book, The Global Achievement Gap, is the reason why we can't catch up to Finland or South Korea or Poland.
So what I'm hearing here, folks, is that we have a simple solution, right?
It's pretty simple.
Because every child that's now born right now,
Yes.
right,
Yeah.
will be 2 to 3 in a few years.
Yes.
So we have time to prepare for them,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And we can implement some programs that begin to teach reading comprehension between that 3 and 5-year-old
Yes,
level,
yes.
right? That will then stop the bleeding.
Right.
If every child has some reading comprehension from 3 to 5-year-old, I mean,
Yes.
we're going to end that
Yes.
coming into 1st grade totally unprepared.
Yes.
And this is not rocket science, okay? We need Mr. Barker to be part of the educational system. We need his work sponsored. We need his work out there, because this is not rocket science, and our children are being punished by ignorance, and the ignorance is coming from the people who are in charge.
Well,
Right?
it's some things that we can do right now, though, too.
Yeah, tell us about it.
The 3 things that we can do right now is that when you read to your kid, point to the words. Let them know that you are reading words. You're not just making up stories.
Right.
2, ask your children questions. You got to ask them questions, because you got to monitor comprehension, but you got to let them know that they have to be able to retell the story
Right.
in some form or fashion, especially when they take a standardized test. And then 3, make it fun. Make education and learning and reading with comprehension fun, because we should be making lifelong learners and not test takers.
Right.
It's just that simple.
Now you see, folks, Mr. Barker got that has his little pet puppet that he uses, right?
Hey, watch yourself. I have a name. I'm Jimmy the Chimp.
Okay, you got Jimmy the Chimp, and,
That's right.
Jimmy is his helpmate, right?
Yes.
Parents, you can do that. You can do that. Everybody likes to buy stuffed toys, etc., for their children.
Yeah.
You can create your own Jimmy or Jane or Mary or Jamal or Jamila.
That's
you know what I'm
right.
saying?
Yeah.
You could do that. And when I used to do fair housing,
Okay.
I created a whole curriculum for children.
I did unfair housing.
Hold it. See, go ahead.
And I had puppets, right?
Okay,
and I
yeah.
used Clifford the Big Red Dog
Ooh.
and this other little dog to teach discrimination to children.
There you go.
Okay? And 5-year-olds when I used to go to the library and do this program, 5-year-olds were asking more questions than the older children.
That's
So
right.
you can get to children, folks, from
Yeah.
very, very little,
Yeah,
right?
sure.
So I think,
How do you
Jimmy,
like my hair?
I love your hair, Jimmy.
Thank you. I like your hair too. Ooh.
Thank you. Now, I see that you have brought a keyboard.
Yes, I did.
So show us what you do with that, too.
Well, I have a daughter, or 2 daughters, and my daughter, when she was 2, she was on Oprah Winfrey. And I wrote a song called The Mother Goose Rap. And it went like, a A, a B, a C, a D, a E, a F, a G, a H, a I, a J, a K, a L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, and Y, and Z. So I don't want to.
No, but that's good.
Yeah.
You make it fun.
Yeah. So she learned the song, you learn the lesson. It's pretty simple.
Right.
So you put curriculum into the lyrics. They learn the song, because our kids know all the lyrics on the radio. That's what gave me the idea. It's like, because it's all about motivation. It's all about connecting. The kids love music.
Right.
The kids love to learn the song, the lyrics to the music. Let's make it, put the timetables. Let's put phonics. I've sung I wrote a song to the 12 principles of Kwanzaa, the 7 principles of Kwanzaa, 9 planets from the sun, just on and on and on. Just add music or make a game out of it, and the kids love it.
What kind of products do you have? Because my grandchildren would see me and they'd say, "We were listening to Mr. Barker, Ma,
Right,
Grandma," you know, and I was like, "Yeah."
Well,
So
I mean, I have a book that I've written, a children's book, but I've been so focused on this 3 to 5-year-old, and so what I've done is I created a reading program that's not out yet. I need to get it funded, and I have a math program for 3 to 5-year-olds, because I realized that The 3 to 5-year-old is the key.
Right.
It's the first formalized education that they have. And when they're sitting there, we're teaching them not to ask questions. We're teaching them not to do this. And then the business is saying, we want them to ask questions, and we're saying 3 to 5-year-olds don't ask questions because it's easier to control the classroom
Right.
when you're sitting there with 30 kids in the classroom. But the solution is give them something to do. Make reading participatory.
You said you need funding. What kind of funding you need?
Yes. Well, you mean numbers or just,
You got any numbers or what you need? We need some philanthropists
Yes.
to take an interest in education, make it fun, which means that it will the payback for them will not only be a workforce that is ready, that can kick butt worldwide, but will have our children ready for the global economy.
I mean,
tell the people what you need.
What I would love is with my books, which is it's a picture chapter book. You know, so before you read chapter 2, you ask questions about chapter 1 before you go to chapter 2, and on and on.
Right.
But I would love to have a couple of classrooms or a school where I can go in and work this program and have funding for that. And so 2 or 3 years later, you can see these children have, you know, just test scores through the roof.
Right.
Because once you can read with comprehension, everything else opens up.
So remember Mr. Barker said that he was a teacher. He quit that to do the research. Then he had to go back to work because it
Yes.
was taking much longer, as
Yes.
those of us who do research know.
Yes.
And so we're looking for some philanthropists who will be willing to sponsor this work so that not only can he go into schools and test it, he's already tested it. He's been a master teacher for 30 years.
Yes.
His children are all proficient, and others who have been through his classes. So this is not something that needs to be tested to death. But so for those of you who are, you know, who are going to ask those questions,
Right.
we could do that. But we need for him to focus 100% of his time on this kind of stuff. Community, this is what we need. When we talk about solutions, solutions need funding. Most of us don't have a trust fund. We don't have that connection in communities that fund this. And
Yes.
somehow the black community, those who have done very well,
Yeah.
don't seem to understand that,
Right.
that other communities, the Jewish community fund
Yeah.
Jewish
Yeah.
programs,
Yeah.
plus ours,
Yeah.
right? The Korean community fund Korean programs.
It was hard to get
right?
to them, you know.
And then in the black community, our millionaires think that they're not supposed to spend any money to fund what needs to happen for our children.
Yes.
Well, if it gives you any comfort, all children will get an education. So since you won't give to just black children, all children will get an education,
Because we're
right?
not competing globally. We're not competing globally at all.
So this is a real problem. As we move up here, we notice that, like you said, we're not competing globally, and we keep importing people, and it really annoys me to see us having people come in, and I'm a foreigner myself, right? I've been here 30-something years, but to see that opportunities are available for people who come in when children who are here have not been groomed for those opportunities. Let people come, but let the people who are here at least have that opportunity.
Yeah, because we're leading to one thing, mass incarceration.
That's right. That's right. 58% of the black people, or the people in jail here in Illinois, are black, right? And we see that tied directly from the schoolhouse to the jailhouse pipeline.
Yeah.
Mr. Barker, we have run out of time, and so I would like to thank you for coming in. Thank you for bringing your puppet,
Sure.
playing that song for us. This is just the tip of the iceberg,
Yeah.
right? How can people get in touch with you?
Well, right now, like I said, I'm focusing totally on my research and the 3 to 5-year program. So only thing I have is my cell phone number,
Give them the number.
773-331-5181.
And if you can't get him, you can get me at African Development Plan. And I usually put this up on the web so you can see it. You can get and I will connect you with Mr. Barker. We need those of you who have the resources, have the funds. Please let him come and do a presentation to you and find out what's going on, how you can help. This will be a gift to humanity because this can be used all over the world.
Yes.
Okay? So I want to thank my guest master teacher Ron Barker for sharing real solutions. That's real.
Thank
And
you.
it was fun. I had
you.
a great time. This was part 2 of the Crisis in Education in America, and I hope it has been as informative for you as it has been for me. And again, we would like this program in the Chicago Public Schools. So if you're out there, you know the superintendent and you know the mayor, because we're going to go visit them, then we need them to be in touch with Mr. Barker. Again, my name is Cecile Johnson. I am the CEO of African Development Plan, and I want to thank Global City Unity Community Outreach for allowing me this opportunity to have Mr. Barker on TV this afternoon to talk about these issues that are impacting our community. As you can see, we are part of solutions. If you're not part of the solution and you're part of the problem, we intend to be the solution. You can reach me at africandevelopmentplan@gmail.com, and you can check out my website, www.africandevelopmentplan. Thank you for your time.